Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Health Edition of Talk Television. I'm Em Roskowski. Hair loss can be such a traumatic experience both for men and women, but especially for women because this is what we call our crown of glory. There are about 30% of women who will eventually have some kind of thinning of their hair or lose their hair. Sometimes it's the result of alopecia, chemotherapy, and sometimes it's just a part of the aging process. With me today from Continental Hair is Michael Schuba, and he's going to talk to us about what alternatives are out there currently for hair thinning, for hair loss completely. And it's really quite a fascinating subject. When I say that it's a traumatic thing for women to experience hair loss or to experience thinning of hair, I'm not exaggerating.
Oh, no, not at all. And it's especially traumatic because hair, for all of us, but especially women, is such an immediate way of communicating.
What do we communicate by our hair?
Well, you communicate your mood, the way you want to present yourself, and you can use your hair to present yourself professionally, or if you feel seductive or sexy or rebellious. I mean, you know, just by looking at someone, you can tell whether they hit their parents or not. I mean, it's all there.
When you're 13.
When you're 13. But I mean, it's all there. And also, for women especially, it's not supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. With men, you know...
There's acceptance around thinning hair and baldness.
And
absolutely.
It's just not supposed to happen. And also, when it's severe enough in the term alopecia or chemotherapy, basically what you're looking at is an illness. And when you have severe thinning, certainly women don't want to be thought of as having, you know, being ill or having people think that they're going through something that traumatic.
That connection between feeling ill and looking ill, and then making sure that you do have hair, and then how that exerts a great power on your mood. You feel better when you look better, even if you're going through chemotherapy.
Oh, certainly.
And that comes around to hair replacement. All right, so what percentage of women will experience some degree of hair loss or thinning?
Well, it's over 30%.
Over 30%?
Over 30% at some point. Actually, women will experience female pattern thinning about 28.8%. It's the exact same number as men going through male pattern baldness. So they have what's called female pattern thinning. Mm-hmm. And it's for the exact same hormonal genetic reason. Only women thin generally all over, where men go bald. And then on top of that, you have alopecia and chemotherapy and other medical reasons for hair loss. So it's quite a large number that will experience some hair loss.
Can we take a look at, you brought in some photographs of a young woman who I believe is 18. There she is.
Yes, that's Michelle.
That's Michelle. Now, tell us about Michelle.
Michelle's been coming to me for about 5 years now. She's from Northern Ontario.
She's a beautiful girl.
Oh, she's lovely, and she's so sweet. And she has what's called alopecia universalis.
No hair anywhere on her body?
Anywhere on her body. Now, there's varying degrees of alopecia. There's areata, which is just patches. There's totalis, which is the whole head. And to continue, I guess, the lesson in Latin, the universalis is pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, can we see her with a hairpiece that you designed for her? Can we see that, Darren?
There we go.
Oh, there she is. So she's 18 years old.
She's 18 years old, and this was her first little modeling shoot that we did a month ago. She came in, and we had some photographs taken of her, and she's lovely. This is what we call a virgin European human hair wig.
Okay.
It's a full cap. And it should last about 2 or 3 years and look really nice. I mean, it's all hand knotted, it's all handmade, and she loves these. She
looks beautiful.
Oh, she's terrific.
Okay, tell me the difference between, because I know there is a difference between virgin human hair and synthetics, number one, obviously. And then there is a difference between European hair, virgin hair, and Asian.
Right. The main reason about virgin hair is it hasn't been processed.
Can you just pull? You showed me a ponytail, or not a ponytail, but how the hair actually shows up in your shop on Avenue Road.
This is how I get it. And
this is how you get it. Wow.
I have a hair merchant in Europe that my company, my family has been dealing with for decades with, and I will send him a sample of color and ask for a certain amount of length and weight, and they will send it to me like this.
This is such beautiful, shiny, untreated hair, completely never being treated.
That's right. It has no bleach, no color. It's just all natural.
And then it arrives in this kind of fashion, and then you give this to a wig maker?
Yes, I have a factory that I work with in Asia that I send it over to, and they will actually hand knot it with tiny little hook needles to a cap. So that it will, basically come out looking something like this.
So can we take a shot of this particular wig? And this is, it arrived looking like this.
In this color, yes.
In this color, and this is what we fashioned out of it. Now, is this the kind of wig that the young model you just showed us would be wearing?
Exactly.
This is a full cap wig.
That's right.
It looks very natural. It looks it looks spectacular, actually.
Well, thank you. The trick to doing this is if you have nice hair like this, and you don't use too much of it, and it's all hand knotted and you get a nice style, you are going to get something that no one is going to be able to spot. I mean, this is something that I always have people, I can always spot a wig, I can always spot, but I know that they've seen my stuff, and even on the bus or on commercials or on TV or whatnot, and they haven't been able to spot them. And I know that I will have clients that come in, and I know I can't spot that type of work. I mean, it's just so nice. And basically, that's what you're doing. You're trying to make sure that a woman's privacy is protected, that her hair loss, whether it's because of alopecia or chemotherapy, or it's just female pattern thinning, is protected. And she doesn't have to explain, and, she can basically just keep that to herself if she wants.
Okay, but there's another aspect to there's a more cosmetic aspect to your business as well.
Yes, and that can be rather fun, actually. I mean, there's stuff like...
because right now we know that extensions is such a huge part of the hair replacement business.
Massive.
Everywhere you go now, we know that everyone in Hollywood have hair extensions. Sometimes you can see the hair extensions.
Yes, when they're not done properly.
When they're not done properly, or they're coming out.
Job, yeah.
Yeah, so here we have, as an example, very blonde hair extension.
Very blonde, yes. Basically, this is what most hair extensions do look like. The ones that I do don't use any glue.
Okay.
And I'm really quite pleased about that, because I used to do the ones with the glue, and I was rather distressed about, the damage that they can do.
Okay.
So I didn't do hair extensions for a number of years. And then I came across this method from
Is this a
Austria.
new technology?
It's been around for a few years, and actually we did Jennifer Valentine's extensions on breakfast television last spring.
She looks spectacular.
Oh, they were terrific, and we had a lot of fun doing them. And the thing that really makes the difference with that is we don't use any glue.
Okay, so how do you get it into the hair then?
We use something that we call a shell.
A shell. It's like a very fine
tube or bead.
Right. You can. It's very little.
It's very small.
Okay.
Yes, and it would naturally, of course, be the color of the hair. So it would hide.
Right.
And what we would do is we basically take some of her hair, pull it through the bead, then we put that up in there as well, and we crimp it nice and tight. And that will stay for about 4, 5, 6 months.
Okay.
Now, the great thing about it...
you have to be very careful washing your hair, more careful, I would imagine.
You have to be more careful. When you have something in your hair for that length of time, yeah, you do have to take some care with it. But the great thing upon removal of these is that without any glue, you don't need any acetone, you don't, it's really...
it's forgiving on the hair.
Absolutely. You've got these really evil-looking pincers that will... open that bead, that shell, and it just slides right out. And it's so benign, you can actually reuse the hair.
Oh, you can?
Yes. So with that, it's a great value price-wise to be able to do that. But it's also just so much better on her own growing hair, because it can really take out a lot of hair when you've got that glue in there and you're trying to remove it.
No kidding. Okay. And I should mention that I have a hairpiece from Continental Hair. It's what we used to call a fall. And I always have very sort of precise and careful, what I call my working hair. But then I have a little piece that I sometimes throw into my hair when I'm going to a party or I want to sort of jazz up my look a little bit. And it's a lot of fun. And it isn't a whole piece. It's just a couple of clips. It's a little piece like that. And it changes my look entirely.
And it's very easy to do. It's just you clip it on, you brush it in, and you can wear it up. You know, you can wear it down like it was an extension. Yeah, no, they're so much fun. And I think actually they're a lot more practical than these because you can take them off and on so easily.
Well, I like the fact that I just returned to my look the next day.
Absolutely.
So it's just a lot of fun. Okay, remember Talk Television is interactive, so we want to hear from you. We want your questions for Michael Schuba and your personal stories about hair loss, or if you've gone through chemotherapy, suffered from alopecia, or just are looking for another way to deal with your hair. Here are the numbers to call.